Hello everyone, and welcome to the first segment of our multiplication take-home videos. So the reason that I would like to try this out this year is because I have had a lot of questions coming in from parents about how can I help my child at home who may be struggling with multiplication. And the reason that I am trying to introduce everyone to the same concept for two reasons. One, so when students go home, if they need a little refresher, they can take a look, watch this video again, and review the lesson that we had in class. And the second reason is for parents or anyone who is trying to help someone out with this kind of stuff. Apparently the term new math was or has been used for the last 50 years or something like that. So I'm not going to use the term new math. However, the concepts that we're looking at in multiplication are a little bit different. We are going to look at some of the traditional ways of multiplying, but we're also going to be looking at other strategies that may help the comprehension piece of it. So the first one that I'm going to try out with you, just as a bit of a refresher, is some 1 digit by 1 digit multiplication. So the understanding is that in grade 3, in Saskatchewan anyway, we are to learn our multiplication facts up to 5 times 5. In grade 4, it is from 5 times 5 to 10 times 10. And then in grade 5, the understanding is that students are coming in with that knowledge already and are ready to move on. However, I do understand that that may not always be the case. So for the first little while, I do like to review some of those things. But knowing that that is not our focus in grade 5, I am going to be looking at taking those facts that students should already know and moving forward. So what we're going to look at first is one way that I like to review multiplication for the multiplication facts, so just very basic facts. So I'm going to first look at what's called the doubling and halving strategy. So I'm going to start with one fact that seems to get grade 5 students a little bit panicky, and that is because a lot of students are comfortable with the 0 times 0, 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 5 times tables and forward. But once we get to those 6, 7s, and 8s, it does get a little bit more challenging. So although I do realize that there are going to be some students who know this answer right off the hop, I do want to show you one strategy that I look at that's going to actually help when we get into higher numbers as well. So what we look at is, first of all, looking at the factors 8 and 6. These are both even numbers. So what I like to teach students is if it is an even number, we can kind of work with it a little bit. This is to foster some mental math as well. So I'm going to look first of all at this 8 because it is our first factor. And what we can do with this 8 is think about it as 4 times 6. So what we're doing is just breaking those even numbers down in halves, and then we will compensate for it a little later. So we can look at 4 times 6, and 4 times 6 might be an easier fact to know, and maybe this is an automatic thing that we know already. However, in case it is not, we can take that 4, because that's an even number as well, and cut that in half so it is a 2. So now we're looking at 2 times 6. So my understanding is that the 1 times tables, the 2 times tables, the 5 times tables, the 10 times tables are facts that we memorize a lot quicker than others. So if a student can see that 6 doubled is 12, and we're a third of the way there. So because we have chopped this number in half twice, what we need to do is compensate for that. So if students can tell me that 2 times 6 is 12, what we'll do from there is double this. So we will say that 12 doubled is 24. So 4 times 6 is 24. And then going up from there, since we chopped this 8 in half to make it that 4, double the 24 and 48. Now this may seem a little bit more complicated just because we are breaking it down into steps. However, the quicker that we can master these basic facts and we can do this mentally, the easier that it's going to become when we're looking at something like 48 times 6. So when we are looking at bigger numbers, if we have that skill in our minds so that we can do that halving and doubling, it should make it a little easier. So I'm going to do one more as an example. So keeping in mind that this will only work for the multiples of 2 or even numbers, but we do have strategies that I'll show you a little bit later on in the video series that should make this a little easier. So let's try that 48 times 3. Okay, so we'll go from that 48, we're going to chop that one in half, so we have 24. 24 times 3 might not be an easy one either, might not be quite as quick as we want it to be, so we'll try 12 times 3. That one might not be automatic. Chop that in half. 6 times 3. Most students will be able to tell me the answer for this one. However, in case that it's just not quite there yet, which is understandable as well, go to 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is as easy, as simplified as we can make this particular question. But this is one of those facts that should be, well, hopefully will be there automatically. So we will go back to that. So one way that I like to look at this with students is looking at how many times did we chop a number in half. So we did it once here, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So we need to double 9, or the product of 9, 4 times. So we can go 9 doubled once is 18. 9 doubled twice is 36. Double that one again. You double that the last time. 144. So this is one of the concepts that we're going to be looking at for the first couple of weeks of this multiplication unit. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any suggestions for me, this is my first time that I've actually recorded one of these lessons, so if you have any feedback for me, I'd be pleased to hear it, as long as it's nice. Just kidding, but if you have any suggestions for me, please let me know, and we'll go from there. Thanks a lot.